Hello, good afternoon. I'm Ricardo Lopes Cardoso, the academic coordinator of the PhD in Administration from Fundação Getulio Vargas, Escola Brasileira de Administração Pública de Empresas, the Brazilian School of Public and Business Administration. Welcome you all for our Open Day webinar about the PhD in Administration. Now I will move to the slides so you can follow me. While Ricardo Lopes Cardoso, the academic coordinator of the PhD. I hope it works. I hope you are seeing my slides. Let me just double check. We made so many trials and everything worked perfect while we were trying. Now it doesn't work. Oh gosh, let's see. Okay, never mind about the PowerPoint. Let's go forward. So sorry, you won't be able to see my slides, but I will present it as if you were seeing the slides, okay? Just restarting from the beginning, my name is Ricardo Lopes Cardoso, the academic coordinator of the PhD program in administration from Getulio Vargas Foundation, the Brazilian School of Public and Business Administration in Rio de Janeiro. I work with a team that is Daniele Santos, the program manager, and her assistant, Natasha Nunes, and Danusa Vasconcelos is the admissions officer, and her assistant is Luisa Longo. So most probably you will feel the need to talk to any of us, so you know already their names and you can contact them through email. About the program. The program of academic graduate studies in administration at FGV EBAPE is composed by the master program and the PhD program. These two courses are interconnected and share the same values and principles. It means that you see that our master students and PhD students work together in many academic initiatives, in many research. They usually take some courses together. And on top of that, our school is accredited by EFMD Equis and the AACSB accreditation. And here in Brazil, we have the honor to be grounded by the CAPES, the federal agency that regulates postgraduate programs in Brazil, with the highest grade, number 7. So we are very proud of that as well. About the PhD program itself. What's the main purpose of a PhD program? We see that our main purpose is to prepare students for academic careers as research professors. And we do expect that our PhDs develop their academic careers either at universities or other academic institutions or research institutions in a broader sense, including think tanks, either here in Brazil or abroad. And by the way, we have former students that have very nice academic positions in other countries within Latin America and abroad as well. Now, why? Why would you join us for a PhD in administration? We see that we have very relevant reasons why you would be keen to join us. And I split these main reasons among 4 pillars. First pillar, we have a world-renewed faculty. What do we mean by that? Our faculty has plenty international experience. Many of them are not Brazilians. They were born abroad. They took all their studies abroad, including their master and PhD programs, and started their academic careers as researchers and professors on international universities. So yes, we do have international experience in our faculty. On the top of that, other professors like myself that are Brazilian and took their PhD here, all of us went for a postdoc abroad, and we are frequently invited as visiting professors on Europeans and North American universities, and we perform and we conduct relevant research with other research centers from other universities outside Brazil. Talking about research, we publish our research on top journals internationally. We also serve as blind reviewers and editors of very relevant top journals internationally. So I might say that our faculty is the most productive research faculty in Brazil in the field of the administration, and I'm very proud of that. The second pillar, the quality of rigorous training. Yes, we are. On the top of that, our courses are fully taught in English. That's why this webinar is already in English, because we are targeting not only Brazilian candidates, we are targeting candidates from Latin America and other countries as well, including from Europe and the US or Canada and Asia. For instance, nowadays we have Chinese students enrolled. We had in a couple of years students from Poland, Italy, and for the next cohort, we have a student from the US. So yes, we are targeting a broader audience of PhD candidates, not only Brazilian students. But of course, Brazilian students are very welcome to our program, definitely. On the top of that, about the quality and rigorous training, the most important is that our program is a full-time program. And what do I mean by a full-time program? Well, the time length of the program is 48 months. So starting from July 2020, you have 48 months, 4 years to finish and defend your dissertation. In addition, during the program, you will need to take many courses. And these courses are mandatory that you take at least 6 methods courses, like statistics, panel data analysis, qualitative research, and others. So in total, you might take 6 method courses, plus 5 courses from your choice within the research track that you choose. Yes, we have 4 research tracks. I will talk about them later. You might choose one of those 4 tracks to focus your research. And 4 elective courses. So I'll come again. 6 method courses plus 5 courses within your research track plus 4 elective courses. So I'm saying that you might take 15 courses plus the graduate seminars. We consider graduate seminars as one more course, but I'll talk about the graduate seminars in a few moments. So those are the credits, the courses that you might take. On the top of that, you need to do your research. And we identify 4 different phases for your research. Of course, your research ends with the final defense of your dissertation. That's the 4th phase. But before that, you might not only identify, but you might get really productive academic relationship with your supervisor. So that is the supervised research seminar that you might take with your supervisor. Then you prepare your conceptual paper. What is the conceptual paper? The conceptual paper is where you present what is your thesis, what's the main research question that you have. Why is that research question so relevant to deserve being investigated within your research on the PhD program? And what's the theoretical foundation of the problem that you will investigate? So that's the conceptual paper. The conceptual paper will be submitted for double-blind reviewers. They will not know your name, but they will revise your conceptual paper, and they might approve or not your conceptual paper. Once you get the approval on your conceptual paper, you move forward in the program. Next phase is preparing your dissertation project. What's the difference between the dissertation project and the conceptual paper? Mainly that in the dissertation project, you need to describe the methods. You need to describe how you will investigate that research problem that you described in the conceptual paper. And finally, the final defense of your dissertation. Once the research is done, all data were collected, analyzed, interpreted in the light of the theoretical literature that you brought, and then you finally defend your dissertation. So in total, you have to take 16 courses among methods, research track courses, elective courses, and the thesis by itself. Okay? I'm sorry, I don't have the PowerPoint slides here to show you, but I do encourage you to go through the EBAPE's webpage. There you can find the regulation of the program where these rules are clearly stated. Now, do you remember that I told you that you might take 5 courses from the research track of your choice? That's okay. So we have 4 research tracks within the PhD program. We have the institutions, policy, and government track. We have the behavioral and decision science track, the strategy, management, and organizations track, and finally the finance track. 4 tracks. Within each track, you will find a long list of professors that do research within these tracks, and of course, since they do research within these tracks, they supervise PhD students within these tracks. So you might, again, take a look on our website under the research tracks page, read what does these titles mean, what does institutions, policy, and government track mean, what kind of research do we do within each track, and identify yourself within one of these 4 tracks. Which of these tracks attract you at most? And then I do suggest you to take a look on the curricula of those professors that do research within that track that most attracted you. Why? Because you'll be able to read our papers. What kind of research are we doing? What kind of research our supervisors are doing? So you'll be able to identify a better match between you and a potential supervisor for your dissertation. Going back to the second pillar, the quality and rigorous training, I already talked about the full taught in English course, the full-time program. Okay, full-time program. One additional issue here is that we offer courses from Monday morning until Friday afternoon, and replacement classes whenever it's not possible for a professor to teach in that specific time available for his or her lectures. We arrange the calendar so that replacement classes are held on Friday, either morning or afternoon, and suddenly on Saturday's morning. So yes, we offer courses from at least Monday morning until Friday afternoon, considering replacement courses. And although we do not demand our students to quit their jobs, we do exhort them, if they work, to at least get a sabbatical leave from their employer. But if you work and if you are not in a position to get a sabbatical leave from your employment, okay, you are still welcome to our program. But be aware that the program is really tough. We are very rigorous in that regard. So you might face some challenge on managing your time among classes and research, your family, and your professional activity. But we believe that you are an adult, you are perfect, know what you really want, and we give you the opportunity. So you have our benefit of the doubt to join us, even though you are not fully available for a full-time program, but it's up to you to fit within our program and within our schedule. We will not manage the program to best receive you. So be aware of that, please. And what I might say is that many students from ours that do work and could not get a sabbatical leave from the employers, they joined us. Some of them are really outstanding students and graduated very successfully, or are still working very successfully. Others, unfortunately, did not and had to quit the program. So please be aware of that. And another issue that might be of great, not might be, it really is of great value to our PhD students is that EBAPE has 4 research centers. We have the Research Center for Banking and Finance Research in Rio, coordinated by Professor Lars Norden and Patrick Burr. We have the Center for Behavioral Research in Rio, that is coordinated by Professor Eduardo Andrade and Rafael Goldsmith. We have the Centro de Excelência e Inovação em Políticas Educacionais, coordinated by Professor Cláudia Costin, and the Applied Research Center in Accounting and Analytics, coordinated by myself and Professor Bernardo Fajardo. I also invite you to take a look on our website, specifically on the page of the research center that most attracts you. Take a look on what kind of research we are doing within each of these centers. Why? Because usually these centers perform work on very broad research problems, like umbrella research projects. And then within or under each umbrella, we might have many different small or narrower research projects that might be developed by you in order to write a paper on that, and it might be that paper could be one of the chapters of your dissertation. And on top of that, usually graduate seminars have funds, and with those funds, they can support you with a scholarship for a specific research assistant project that you will get involved within. Okay, the third pillar. Why should you be interested to join us? In addition to the world-renewed faculty we have, in addition to the quality and rigorous training we offer, EBAPE provides you an inspiring academic experience. What do we mean by expiring academic experience? Well, as I said, we have the graduate seminars that you might take 1 year of graduate seminars during your PhD program. And what are the graduate seminars? Well, graduate seminars are sessions where we receive visiting professors. So we invite visiting professors to present their research projects that are still underway, or even their brand new published papers that are not well known so far, and then they come and describe in details not only the theory, the research problem, the method, and the results they got, because there you can read in the paper. On the top of that, that is most valuable for our PhD students, is that those visiting professors describe a little bit about the backstage of that research. What do I mean by that? They talk about the challenge they faced during the research phase, what were their first goal in that research, and then they say, well, we faced some challenge there, we've had some problems, so we need to change a little bit the scope of the research, and then we'll end up with the paper that is now being presented, the working paper or the brand new published paper. And knowing about the backstage of working on research is really very, very interesting for a PhD student, because for sure you might face many challenges on performing your own research. And if you know how others had faced and managed such similar situations and challenges, might help you in the near future. In addition to the graduate seminars, we also exhort our students to go for an international exchange. What do we mean by international exchange? Here in Brazil, we used to say in Portuguese, doutorado sanduíche. So yes, we do exhort our PhD students to go abroad for doutorado sanduíche for at least 6 months. Usually our students go for 1 year, others for 9 months, but usually between 6 and 12 months. 12 months is the longer stage that we suggest our students to stay abroad. And then, what do you do there? Well, during doutorado sanduíche, we do expect that you work on your research. So you might have a colleague of ours that's a faculty of the university that will receive you for the doutorado sanduíche, and that faculty might be your co-supervisor. So you might talk to him or to her while you are there, in addition to use Skype, WhatsApp, email, Zoom, whatever other online platform to keep in touch with your supervisor here in Brazil. And then, of course, you come back and defend your thesis. And the fourth pillar, why would you come to join us for the PhD program? Again, world-renewed faculty, quality and rigorous training, inspiring academic experience, and you are the most valuable asset that we have in our PhD program. So the fourth pillar are our top-notch students. I mean, you guys. What do we mean by top-notch students? Yes, we are very proud of the students we have, the students of high quality. And on the top of that, our students are geographically diversified. We have students, as I just said, from Asia, from Europe, from North America. We have students, of course, from Brazil, but not only from Rio de Janeiro. we have students from the north, northeast of Brazil, central area of Brazil, and the south of Brazil as well. So it's a very live environment with so many different perspectives and cultures that you have access within the classroom. And our students are also academic diversified. What do I mean by academic diversity among students? Well, we have students with backgrounds from administration and finance, of course, from accounting and economics, from law, from psychology, from marketing, from medicine. Yes, from medicine. From, did I say psychology already? Okay, from psychology, from architecture. So we have so many diversified academic backgrounds among our students that on the top of the geographical diversity, that also gives a fresh new air in the classroom with different perspectives and different research interests being conducted. Oh, and I might also say that in administration, we don't focus only on business administration. EBAPE has a very relevant tradition in public sector administration, public administration. So this diversity is also identified within our faculty and our students. Now, I will tell you something that most people don't know, or if they know, I don't see that they really believe it. But please trust me, and I do want you to take it in consideration and tell others that might be interested in a PhD program in administration here in Rio de Janeiro. What is it? Do you know how much does it cost you to study and take your PhD with us? How much is the investment you make? Well, we don't charge any fee. So all students accepted for the PhD program will be exempted from any fees and duties. So that's right, you pay nothing to take your PhD in administration at EBAPE, Fundação Getulio Vargas. On the top of that, if you do not work, if you do not have a remuneration, an activity, professional activity where you get some remuneration from there, and you have a high-level performance, you will also receive a scholarship. So you will not pay any tuition fee, and you will collect and make some scholarships. These scholarships might be paid either by federal government, like CAPES, CNPq, or the Rio de Janeiro state government, like FAPERJ. And don't worry, if there is no enough budget from the federal or the Rio de Janeiro state budget, FGV guarantees that we will pay you a scholarship at the same amount of money, the same value of CAPES scholarship grants if you are eligible for the scholarship. And what is the eligible criteria? First, being fully committed to the program. In other words, don't working, and have a good performance on your studies. So, answering the question, how much the investment to take your PhD from EBAPE? It's your time. The investment is your dedication, your commitment, your success in the program. No money is demanded from you to take the PhD at EBAPE. Now, I'm already close to the final slides here. Unfortunately, you cannot see, but okay, talking about the selection process. How is the selection process structured and what are the deadlines? Okay, the application period is already open and the deadline for applications is the end of this month, 3rd of April this year. So you might go on the internet, fulfill the forms, you need to pay a very irrelevant registration fee. That's the only amount of money you pay for your PhD, only for the selection process at all. And upload many documents that we demand. Once you present all the documents and fully fulfill the form, you completed your application. Then we will analyze your documents, and I will explain that later on. So the first phase of the selection process, I might say, you apply. Once you have applied until April 3rd, okay, so we will analyze the documents. And so document analysis is the first analysis that we make on your application. There, we will take a look on your graduate diploma, the grade you got on the standard tests like GMAT, GRE, UNPAD, or UNPAC. We'll also take notice of your grades on the English proficiency test, like IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge. We'll read your lattice curricula, so you do need to update your CV at CNPq Lattes database. And the most important here, we will give a really emphasis on analyzing your letter of intention. What's your letter of intention? You need to write down, why do you want to join our PhD program in administration? What's your motivation? What brings you here? Why would you spend 4 years of your life studying a PhD to get a PhD in the end? What's the purpose of that PhD for you? What kind of research problem moves you to do such a research? What's the research problem that you have in mind? What's the theoretical perspective that you were intended to apply? The methods that you are considered most to answer that research problem. So notice that we do not demand you present any research project in the selection process. But if you have already an idea of what kind of research you want to perform while in the PhD program, you have the opportunity to write that down in the letter of intention. Okay? Also, make it clear which research track most attracts you. Who would you like to be your advisor, your supervisor in the PhD thesis? You can also make that clear in the letter of intention. And of course, please write the letter of intention in English. Most of our faculty, as I said, are not Brazilian. They are not necessarily proficient in Portuguese. So we need to do all this process in English. And on top of that, in addition to your letter of intention, you need to present 2 recommendation letters. And these recommendation letters can be from your former supervisor in the master program, or other professor in your master program, or someone that co-authored a paper with you that was well published, or someone that worked with you. You know, go for someone that who you trust and knows you very well, that could suggest us to receive you in our program. That recommendation letter also needs to be written in English. Keep that in mind when you invite someone to be your recommender. And at the bottom of the form, you need to present which research track is of your interest. You might indicate up to 2 research tracks. The first best choice of yours and the second best choice. Why do we ask you to present 2 research tracks, although you will be enrolled in only one? Because if in the selection process we have many applicants from one specific research track, and we don't have the ability to receive so many students in the program for that specific research track, we will move those students that were lower scored in the selection process to the second best research track. Or you might believe that your first choice is research track A, and when we go for the second phase, that's the interview that we will talk just in the next slide, we might identify during the interview that at the end you are not interested in research track A, you are interested in research track B, but you misunderstood the objectives of those research tracks. It might happen, it happens sometimes, and then we allocate you to research track B in that case. So it's very important. This is the documento analysis. Once you are approved by us on this documento analysis, you will be invited for the second phase. And the second phase are the interviews. Interviews are also conducted in English. We use and we hope to maintain interview phase Torrando Dantas in Botafogo, Rio de Janeiro. But if this situation of lockdown persists until the interview's date, of course, we will move the interviews online. So interviews might be at the same dates and times. However, won't be in person. We will be alive through the internet, like Skype or Zoom or other web platform. Okay? And of course, if you are not from Rio de Janeiro, alô? Alô? Parece que caiu aí. Bom, vamos ver se caiu ou não. So if you're not from Rio de Janeiro and the lockdown is relaxed, no problem. Be invited, interviewed through Skype or other web platform as well. Okay. So this is it, and we have now the information. Unfortunately, you don't see my slides, so to read the telephone and the address. So the telephone, 55 Brazil, 21 Rio de Janeiro, and now the telephone number is 3083-2784. 3083-2784. So if you have any doubt in regard to the admission process, please make a phone call, 3083-2784, or send us an email to admissions with an S in the end, _ EBAPE, E as escola, B as brasileira, A as administration, P as pública, and E as empresa. Thank you for your attendance, and sorry for the inconvenience of the sharing screen didn't work today. Please, let's move to the Q&A session. I will start reading the questions you made. So I will read the questions. Antonio Neto asked if you can find a list of placements where our PhDs are working or doing their research or teaching. We do have. That's not available on the website, but we do have that information from our alumni. Antonio gave me a good suggestion. I'll try to make that information available on our website. I cannot promise that we'll do that in the next week, but I will see how I can manage making that information available. My concern is that we have some personal data from our PhD students that we should not disclose their names, but I'll see if we can somehow make this information blind on regard of the name of the student. Good suggestion. I'll try to do that. Kennedy asked if the student can finish presential courses within 2 years. Yes, please. I didn't say that. So sorry. You have 4 years to complete and defend your thesis. Since you begin on July this year, you have 4 years to defend your PhD dissertation, isn't it? During the first 2 years, you might take all the courses. So what you asked, presential courses, yes, you might take all presential courses, the methodological course, the research track courses, the elective course, and the graduate seminars. You might take all of these within the first 2 years. In addition, you might also get the approval on your conceptual paper. So, on the 2 other years, during years 3 and 4 of the PhD program, you are invited to go abroad for the Doutorado Sanduíche. You can stay around at our building, keep in touch with the faculty, with students, either master students or PhD students from other cohorts, as well as, and most importantly, work on your thesis or work on other research projects. But you will not need to take, you might not take any other mandatory course during the 3rd and 4th year. Okay, if you get interested in another course, you might take as many courses as you want, but you might take those mandatory courses that I just said before, those 16 courses during the first 2 years. Okay? Thank you, Kennedy, for your question. So Alexander Vieira asked if it's possible to take part of the program and work simultaneously. Just 1 second, please. Yes, Alexander, it's possible to work not getting any sabbatical leave from your employer and studied in our PhD. However, number 1, you will not be eligible for scholarships, of course. Number 2, it's not easy. It's really tough. It's very demanding. I believe that an adjective that best represents our PhD program is demanding. All our faculty, while they are teaching their courses, they are really demanding. And such demand is not only taking courses while in classroom, those Monday through morning through Friday afternoon. I mean demanding because in order to take courses, you might read a lot at home. You might need to read and read and read many papers papers written in English, 90 to 90% of the literature, if not 100% of the literature, is all in English. So reading another language, especially in the first year of the PhD, while you might not be so used to reading academic papers in English, is much more time demanding. So be aware of that. You are welcome if you work and don't get a sabbatical leave, but take a deep breath, do the best to manage your professional life, your personal life with your academic life at EBAPE. Many that tried really succeeded very well, defended their dissertation within the period of 48 months and got very successfully publishing their papers from their thesis on top journal. However, I might also say that some others that tried in the same circumstances, sorry, did not succeed. They were required to quit the program shortly. Sorry, it's the truth. I might not lie to you here. It's not easy. We are demanding. So I believe I also answered your second question about scholarship. Yes, once you work, you are not eligible for scholarships, neither from federal government, FAPERG, neither from EBAPE. Oh yes, I was afraid that the internet went down and Antonio said, não caiu, nós te escutamos. Thank you, Antonio. I could read it right now. If the students can finish presential course. Oh yes, during course. But yes, I already answered that. Kennedy. How much? Felipe Ribeiro asked. The value of this PhD scholarship. It is 2,200 reais. This is the, yes, 2,000, thank you, Daniel. 2,200 is the value of the PhD scholarship supported by CAPES or CNPq. And EBAPE just follows the same value. So CAPES pays 2,200, we do the same thing. I know that it does not solve your problems, but remind, if you are eligible for a CAPES scholarship of 2,200 and you also you don't work, and you also get involved in research projects within those research centers that I presented here today, or you get involved with teaching assistant with other faculty or your supervisor, you might also have the opportunity to double your scholarship. So on the top of the scholarship from CAPES, you might also receive an additional scholarship if you work on research or teaching assistant within EBAPE's academic life, academic initiatives. What's the profile of intakes? Their age, the background, and background professional. Well, background professional. Most of our students are not professionals. They are students. They are full-time dedicated to the program, the majority of them. Others are, let's say, 30% or less, 25% probably. They work and got a sabbatical leave from their employer. Usually, these are public servants, like from BNDES, from Banco Central, FINEP, other organizations here in Brazil. And we have a fewer group of students, a smaller group of students that work on private initiative. Either they are managers or owners of their own business, or they work for large-sized corporations like Eletrobras, other large-sized companies nearby. So this is the kind of students we have. The huge majority are fully dedicated to the program. Other smaller group are on sabbatical leave, usually public servants, and fewer from private initiative. We have, for instance, one student that is a director of operations from a mining company in the north of Brazil. He still works there in the north, and he comes and goes. He takes his course here in Rio de Janeiro, and he's succeeding very, very, very well. And I'm very proud of him. So we have a very diversified group of students, as I just said, on the top-notch students, the fourth pillar of why you should be interested in joining us. And about their age. Those that are full-time dedicated to the program used to be younger. They just graduated from graduation school, then from college, then they took their master program immediately, and just after graduating from the master program, or 1 year after that, they came to join us in the PhD. But we have those that work that are around the 30s, the 40s. We have some very few students that are above 40. For instance, that student that I told you from the north of Brazil, that is director of operations there in the mining company, he is on the 60s and he is performing very well. So we don't discriminate any candidate based on the age or professional background. You are all welcome since you have fulfill the requirements that we make for the admission process, and if you perform very well on the interview with no discrimination. Antonio also asked, after taking the courses, is it possible to after the 2 years or so, once you conclude the credits during the first 2 years of the program and that get approval on your conceptual paper, do you need to be in Rio? Do you need to be in our EBAPE building? And the answer, Antonio, is no. You don't need to. You might go abroad for a doutorado sanduíche, as I said, or you might return to your hometown city or go to anywhere else that you prefer, since you do dedicate yourself to the research. Now, I might need to be very clear here. Some supervisors prefer that their students are nearby. They meet in person, face-to-face, in their office at EBAPE every week. Other supervisors don't demand that. They are keen to keep the relationship with their supervisors online through Skype, WhatsApp, email, whatever. Daniele, that assists me in the program coordination, is asking me to remind you, hey guys, you need to present the proficiency test of English language until April 3rd. That is the deadline for the application. So in other words, all the documents you need to upload required in the selection application process need to be uploaded until April 3rd, the end of this month. Thank you, Danny. Going forward on the Q&A. Daniel made a very good question. Daniel Kaija. Desculpa, sorry, Daniel, for not saying your name properly, Dani. But he asked that he is from São Paulo and he wonders if he would be allowed to take some courses at EASP, our sister school at Fundação Getulio Vargas. And the answer, not only to Daniel, to all of you, is yes. Do remember that you are required to take method courses, research track courses, and other elective courses. You might take at least four elective courses. Among those elective courses, you might choose to take up to 2 elective courses outside EBAPE. I'll come it again. You can take up to 2 elective courses outside our program. It can be at EASP, at FGV. It can be outside the FGV. For instance, you can go to INSPER, to USP, UFRJ, PUC, UERJ. I don't care. Since it is a PhD program recognized by CAPES, you can take up to 2 elective courses there. And of course, our courses are 30 hours course, like 2 credits per course. So the course that you take outside the EBAPE might comply with such requirement of 30 hours classes, 2 credits per course. Not only at EASP, but anywhere else. As well as at EPGE, the Economic School in Rio de Janeiro, the Law School in Rio de Janeiro, the EMAPE, the Mathematics School at FGV in Rio de Janeiro. You are welcome to take up to 2 outside the program. Marcelo asked, and I believe I already answered, about someone who studied our PhD while was working simultaneously. Yes, some succeeded very well, others unfortunately not, and had to quit the program. So it's much more dependent on the student's commitment than to his professional activity. And this kind of stuff would be very nice if you could do that. Marcelo is having problems getting exams like IELTS, GMAT. Can I apply and deliver it later on? Many prestigious universities are doing this during this special time we are living. Well, Marcelo, actually, it's not easy. What I could do at most is that if you have a certificate from ANPAD, for instance, or from IELTS or GMAT that is out of date, for instance, the valid date, it was valid for until last year and expired because that has a 2-year something like that validate period, we would accept that old certificate as if it was valid due to the circumstance we are living in right now. But I'm sorry, I cannot waive anyone from presenting these documents because we would not know who we could or could not invite for the interviews. And Dani, could you please type down the dates for the interview? Not the date specific, but just the period of time we are considering to interview them, because that helps me answering why we cannot waive those certificates, Marcelo. But the interviews will be in May this year, just after we finish the selection process, the selection applications. Dani is typing. Okay. While I wait for Dani, do you guys please have any other question that I could not, that you had not addressed here? or that I just missed it and didn't present here? So while I wait for Danny's answer, please, you can take note of our website where you can find details about the program as a whole. But if you are specifically interested on knowing our faculty better, you can go there. Oh, YouTube is not allowing me. Oops, remova todos os endereços da web e tente novamente. So I cannot type that. Okay, but if you go there on PhD/home, you'll find all the information you need from our program. And now, Karina, is it possible to go directly from graduate to PhD? Oh yes, Karina. We do not demand our candidates to have a master's degree. So yes, it's possible to go directly from the graduation, from college to PhD. However, it's not common. So you need to describe us and prove us that you are really outstanding. And if we consider you as outstanding, yes, you would be very welcome straight to the PhD. It's not common, but it happens. Not frequently, but it might happen. And good luck if this is your case. Other circumstance that we identify is that sometimes, Karina, some candidates that came straight from the college to the selection process of the PhD, during the interview mainly, we identified, well, this candidate is not that mature to join the PhD. So we invited the student to go to the master, and depending if the student is really good, but we didn't consider, the point is the risk of accepting a student that we are not so comfortable on. So what we used to do, we invite that student to go for the master, but in this case, since you would be under the selection process, we would approve you immediately to the master program. You would take the master program, talking to your supervisor. We would present your supervisor your intention to go straight to the PhD. So you would enter at EBAPE as a master student. Usually, I'm not saying your case, but usually, the student enters in the at EBAPE program at the master. Since the student is really an outstanding student, gets A on every course he or she takes, and the supervisor is working really close to that student for the dissertation, the thesis, the master thesis. What we might do, we might anticipate these students' defense of the master dissertation for, let's say, 1 year and 3 months. So within 15 months, you conclude your master, and then you join immediately. Immediately, I mean 1 year and 3 months after this process, you go straight to the doutorado, to the PhD. This is what CAPES call doutorado direto. The student gets into the master, but shrinks the period of time of the master, concludes all the credits of the master, and defends the thesis within 15 up to 18 months, and then goes straight without another selection process to the PhD. But coming to your question again, is it possible to you to go straight to PhD? Yes, it is, but it's not the common pathway. And Antonio, is it possible to make a research PhD thesis with a professor of EBAPE and a professor of another institution? Well, we call this co-orientação. or co-supervision? Yes, it is possible. However, at EBAPE, we had constrained the possibility of those co-supervisions in order that we only accept co-supervision from professors from abroad. So yes, it's possible since the professor of another institution is a professor from a university, a well-renowned university, let's say, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, or any other very well-renowned university abroad, outside Brazil. Okay, any more questions? If you don't have more questions, we are about already 68 minutes on this webinar, so I should close this session, saying again that I'm very glad that you joined us here. I'm very glad of your interest at our PhD program and all questions you asked here today. So hope to see you in the interview process in May. Oh, did Dani answer my question? Yes, she did. So interviews will be on May, probably from 12 to 14 of May. Not sure necessarily on those dates, but just to give you an idea. So going back to the colleague that asked about getting a waiver of the certificates, that's why we could not, because we need to finish the analysis, all the documents, to identify who we will invite for the interviews. During the first week of May, we will make such a decision, tough decision, to invite you for the interviews in the following week. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you all of you for your interest. Thank you, my team at FGV that helped me so much for this webinar. See you soon.